Hello students. So in the previous video classes we have completed unit 2 of database management system. Today we will discuss all about this course of unit 2, that is a revision class. So this is a revision class. What we have learned in this unit of database management system, that we will discuss briefly, and some important previous year questions also. Okay. So in DBMS unit 2, what we have learned, very briefly I will discuss today. This is a revision class of the database management system of unit 2. So first we discuss about the file, means database file. We have started this unit with the database file. What is the database file? What are the basic components of the file? Okay. What are the basic database file operation? Okay. I mean components of in this file system we have learned components of file, different file operation like components like field, record, if all the things, data values are stored in a specific format. And file operation, there are so many file operations like your creation of file, updation of file, deletion, modification, all file operations we have learned. We have learned basic components. We have learned the basic concept of the database file, how data are stored in a tabular form, in an organized way, so that data can be manipulated, can be retrieved in a organized way, and very quickly, the reliability, database user will feel very more reliable, because database, as per the definition of the database management system, database management system is organized way of related data. It is one type of computerized record keeping system where all records are stored in a tabular form. So all these things, basic concept of database file, we have learned in the introduction of the unit 2. Then we come to file system. Okay, or different file organization. We have learned different file organization. Different file organization. So there are so many types of file organizations. So as for our syllabus, three important file organizations that we have learned. Okay, as per our syllabus. First one we have learned sequential file organization. Sequential file organization. So in sequential file organization, normally we learned that all records are stored in a specific order, in a particular sequence, and in the same sequence that can be retrieved. Which is very easiest and a traditional one, and very simplest. Okay, but here random direct access is not possible. Okay, we have learned sequential file organization with the advantage, disadvantage, everything. Okay, so go through details that we have learned in our previous video classes. I think you will follow. So after a sequential file organization, then we learned index sequential file organization. Okay, so index mechanism is added to the sequential file organization, that makes index sequential file organization. So here large volume of data, large database can be easily retrieved, can be easily searched by using the help of this index mechanism. So this index sequential file organization means the most important is index mechanism. Okay, so index mechanism already we have learned there are so many types of index mechanism also. Then the direct file organization. Direct file organization. So these basic three important file organization that we have learned. In case of direct file organization, we are using a mathematical function, that is hash function. By using a hash function, we can get the direct memory location, so that that particular information, that particular record can be retrieved. So then most important concept is index sequential, index mechanism. Two important concepts: index mechanism or index technique. So we have learned what is index. Okay. So there are so many types of index mechanism that we have learned, like sparse indexing, dense indexing, single level indexing, multi-level indexing. Okay. That I am going to write here: sparse indexing, then dense indexing, okay. Another type of indexing we have learned, that is single level. Indexing, multi-level indexing, okay. So all the things we have learned: single level indexing as well as multi-level indexing. And also there are some types of indexing that we have learned. Types, basic types, like primary indexing, cluster indexing, and also next one is your secondary indexing. So this was type of indexing we have learned: sparse indexing, where and dense indexing. In dense indexing, every data file has some records. So if you create every index entry for every record of the database file, that is the dense indexing. Means total number of records in data file is equal to total number of records in index file. But whenever index entry is created, only some of the selected records, unique selected records, that is the sparse indexing. And similarly, single level indexing, if directly index file and data file, directly in between, there is no intermediate level, that is the single level indexing. But whenever I consider multi-level indexing, so again index file will generate another index file. Okay, so this mechanism already we have learned. So middle level indexing. Okay, so in between, there are so many levels of indexes. Okay, before accessing the data file, we may cover number of index files. So one index file searches for another index file. From that index file, we can choose another index file. Then from that index file, then we can go to the data file. So in this way, we have learned single level indexing and a multi-level indexing. Most important concept is types of indexing we have learned. That is primary indexing, cluster indexing, and secondary indexing. So these three types of basic types of indexing already we have learned in very deeply. We have discussed. Kindly follow my previous video classes, we can easily understood primary indexing and cluster indexing, secondary indexing. Okay, so after indexing mechanism or index sequential file organization, then another most important is your direct file organization. Okay, then we have learned direct file organization. So in a direct file organization, direct file organization, we can directly access a particular record from the database file. So for this direct file organization, we are using a mathematical function. It is a technique, that is a hash mechanism or a hash technique. This hash technique always uses a hash algorithm. So by using this hash algorithm, we can search, we can locate the memory address. So directly we are getting the memory address by using those hash mechanism. So here we are using hash mechanism, or normally it is called as a hash function or a hash technique. So it uses a hash function. So by using this hash function, it provides the memory location or memory address. So that user can directly fetch records from that particular memory location. There are so many types of functions. It is a mathematical function or arithmetical function. It accepts a record key value and provides the memory address. From that memory address, we can fetch information, we can fetch records from that location only, so that directly we can access. So irrespective of the number of volume of the file, we can very quickly search a particular record in a random manner in this direct file organization by using the hash function. There are several types of hash functions are also there. As we have learned, there are so many types of hash functions like mid-square method, folding method, another one is your mid-square method, folding method, another one is your three types of indexing we have learned in database management system. That is another type of method is your division method. Another one is your division method. So these three types of hash functions we have learned, as the mid-square method, folding method, and division method. So follow my all classes, video classes. I think you can easily understand. And this basic concept is this is hash function. This is hash function and this index mechanism. These two things is most important. And if you think in every year, questions are coming from these two important topic positively. Okay, so positively we will get questions from this direct file organization and index sequential file organization. Normally this direct file organization uses this hash function, okay, and index sequential file organization uses this index technique. So index technique and hash mechanism, hash technique is the most important concept in this chapter. Okay, so in this unit you will must positively find the questions from these two concepts. Okay, so this is all about the DBMS unit 2 as for our syllabus we have covered. Okay, now we will discuss previous year questions. Okay, last previous 10 years questions I can discuss in front of you. Okay, to see previous year questions. So some of questions are being repeated, or questions having same answer. Okay, so I can skip repeated questions. So this is the question for 2018. Okay, so in 2018, there is a question. For unit 2, what are the different types of file structure? Questions. Previous year questions. What are the different types of database file structure? So here we are being asked for database file structure. Database file structure, and this is for 20 marks with these advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so basically in this question you will have to describe what is the database file and the structure. One is your index file, data file. I have given refer to my note. There are so many types of file structure, like that I have told you. Sequential file structure, index sequential file structure, and add file structure. So only you have to write here very briefly with its advantages and disadvantages. Here you have to write the sequential file structure or sequential file organization, advantages and disadvantages. Then index sequential file organization, advantages and disadvantages, and add file organization, the advantage and disadvantage. Because this question carries 20 marks. Okay, this question carries 20 marks. Okay. So another question. I may have that is explain difference between sequential and index file organization. So the question is difference between sequential and index sequential. So sequential file organization we can write within 75 words, and index sequential you have to find the differences. You have to differentiate. So what we are using, how we are accessing in records from sequential file organization, and how we are accessing records in index sequential file organization. That thing you have to explain. Now how records or data value are stored in sequential file organization, and how data value are stored in index sequential file organization. Okay, what are the media, the storing media we are using in index sequential file organization, and what are the storage media we are using for sequential file organization. So access mechanism, storage mechanism, and media is the most important concept. Another is index. Index mechanism added in index sequential file organization, means index technique and sequential technique mechanism is added with this. So we are getting double benefits. The benefits we are getting from index mechanism, and the benefits also we are getting from sequential file organization. But only benefits of sequential file organization we are using in sequential file structure or sequential file organization. Okay, so this thing you have to elaborate on. This is for 10 marks. Okay, so we can write, I think. Then write any 4 difference between a file processing system. So how a file are being processed. Okay, same almost same thing. There are different file processing systems like index sequential. Several file processing systems are there. Okay, there are so many types of file processing systems are also there. So I think you can get different file processing. different file processing system. Different file processing system. So there is the different types of processing, like your serial processing. Serial processing, sequential processing, index sequential processing, and direct processing. So this is 4 types of processing system. I think you can write. This is for 10 marks. I think you can write very briefly. We have elaborated serial processing, sequential processing, index sequential processing, and direct processing. Okay. Then next question is what is a hash what is hashing? Write about the different hash technique. I think you can easily write. Hash mechanism. You can write about the hash mechanism. Here we can write the hash mechanism, and also you can write the hash technique by using different methods, like that I have told you, mid-square method, folding method, and division method. Also you can write. This is for 20 marks. So 10 marks or 20 marks question are coming in your exam. So next one is your another question that is being asked in the year of 2009. That is sequential, index sequential, direct file organization in details. This is for 20 marks. In this question, you have to write sequential access, index sequential, and direct file access in details. This is for 20 marks. Okay, everything you can write here. Another question is explain hash technique in details. Hash mechanism also you can write. And next, you are being asked for the year of 2010, and that is discuss different file access methods briefly. So these access methods, this is processing system, file access methods, different file access methods, file access methods. Okay, so we have learned 3 different file access methods: sequential, and index sequential, and direct file access methods. Here you can write for this question: sequential access method, direct file access method, and index sequential file access methods. Okay. Then short notes, they are being asked in the year 2011, that is sequential access and the hashing. That thing also you can write. Then question for 2012, I am discussing only the unit 2, that important question that you are being asked. Okay, from this unit 2, that is one question is what is hashing. Discuss different types of hash technique. You can write very briefly. This is for 10 marks. Okay. Another question for the year 2012, that is different access mechanism. This access technique also we have written here that we are using database management system. That is for 10 marks. So whenever a question is being asked for 10 marks, you write only within 300 words, maximum 2.5 pages or 3 pages. Okay. Then question is for 2014, unit 2, question you are being asked that what do you mean by indexing, and explain different properties of index in details. So here we can write what is index mechanism and what are the important properties of the index in details. Try to write this answer for this question. If you doubt, you can get help from me. What are the important different properties that we are getting from this index mechanism? Okay. And then another question is for 10 marks. That is explain various hashing technique and what is the advantages of hashing. Okay. So hash function we are using, and also we have written hash technique, advantages and disadvantages also we have discussed. So you can write this question's answer by referring to my note that I have given. And then another question for 20 marks, that is what do you mean by file structure. So you have to write about the file structure, what is a file, how it is constructed, and what are the various levels of database file structure we have to discuss and compare. So try to give the answer. Single level, in single level indexing we are using this primary indexing, secondary indexing, cluster indexing, multi-level indexing that does not belong to the syllabus. What you can write here very briefly, that I have detected you B plus tree, B tree. So you can write very briefly, just naming this type of file organizations. This question also carries 20 marks, so we can write everything in details also. Okay. So another question that I have written in 2015. Okay, in 2015, different same question. You think number of questions are being repeated? Answer will be same, but question asking a way of a question is certain difference. So you can modify the answer while writing. So try to understand what are you are being asked, how to answer from your question accordingly. So describe the different hash technique and its advantages. So only you have to write here the hash technique which is advantages. Okay. Then another question is index sequential file structure and a direct file access file. So you can just write index sequential file structure and direct file structure. 10 marks. This is 10 marks. This is 10 marks. Okay, you can write easily. Then another question is for 2016, that what is hashing? Already I have told you. Describe the advantages and disadvantages and different hashing technique. So here this question carries 20 marks. So first of all, here you have to first important thing is that how you will approach for a particular question. So what is hashing? You can write, and the advantages also you can write, and different hash mechanism that we are using. Different hash mechanism, different hash functions. We have written 3 types of hash technique, like a division method, folding method, and mid square method. Also you can write here. Okay. And then describe the different database file structure with their advantages and disadvantages. So here you can write the different file structure, different file access methods. Okay, like this, and you can write here. This question is for 20 marks. So we have explain sequential file structure, advantages. Index sequential file structure, advantages. Direct file structure, advantages. Okay. So different file structures already we have learned. So try to give the answer what are being asked, not everything. Okay. This question get 20 marks. You can write it this way. Then another question you are being asked in 2017. Okay. The difference between sequential and direct file structure. Easily you can write and explain the advantages of each. So write differentiate sequential and direct. You can just compare. Okay, just compare sequential file and index sequential file. And what are the advantages of the sequential file structure and the direct file. Okay, you can write. Then this is for 20 marks, made it. So you can write everything. Then another question is for 20 marks. Differentiate between index technique and a hash technique. Okay, so this chapter basically is covered by these two mechanisms, that is your index mechanism, another one is your hash mechanism. So in index mechanism you can write sequential indexing, index and sequential file structure, index sequential file structure, and direct file structure. In case of hashing, you can write the division method, mid square method, and folding method. So everything you have to write elaborately. Okay, because this question carries 20 marks. So most of the question you think you see as repeatedly being asked. So basic concept of this unit 1 that I have given to you, and all important questions also discussed in front of you. And some of the important questions that I have selected, 15 different questions from this unit, I will send you on your group. Okay, so follow these classes, and I think it will be helpful for you. Okay, thank you.